Welcome to Audiogyan with Kedar Nimkar, a podcast that documents insightful conversations with Indian designers, artists, musicians, writers, thinkers, and creatives of all types. Catch us on iTunes or visit audiogyan.com for more Gyan sessions. Here's your host, Kedar Nimkar.
We are recording this backstage of Curious Design Yatra 2019. Today I have Tej Chauhan with us on Audiogyan. Tej is known as an emotive industrial designer. He believes that every object has potential to elicit joy through form, color, texture, regardless of the brand position or production budget. He combines his unique visual approach with production efficiency to create products that resonate with broad audience and deliver true value and differentiation for brands. He's based in London. We'll try and document his thoughts on form, material, and technology. So thank you, Tej, for giving your time, and it's a real honor to have you on Audiogyan.
Thank you very much. Honor to be here.
Yeah. So I've kept the topic name as form, substance, and tech.
Okay.
With Tej Chauhan, and I've come up with 4 to 5 questions, and yeah, it's mainly to document your thought process. So to begin with, I've been researching about you for quite some time now, and what I've observed is you have this objective of bringing emotion to everyday objects as well. So why do you think these unconscious or inanimate objects need emotive form?
I think you could look at it on a couple of different levels. One of them is that everything around us has the ability to make us feel something. Therefore, why don't we use that understanding to create objects that make you feel good? And that is really the kind of cornerstone and foundation of what we do. Because by approaching design in that way, you can connect people to objects, and in turn to ideas and ideologies and to brands, or however, whichever direction you want to take that. That's, I think, why we do what we do, and why I think it's really important.
So I've done a bunch of interviews with some really legendary musicians as well. And there was one beautiful insight that if you look at a sitar or a tanpura or a violin, these are strings, right? And within your body, if you consider nerves to be also strings, and if they resonate at the same level, it just strikes a different chord altogether and you have more bonding. Is your work something trying to do that? Because you have, being a human, you have emotions, and then you portray that in the product as well. Is that...
Yeah, I think that everything we do, we try to create these kind of goosebumps, and that could be similar to getting these strings to kind of play at the same time. It could be, a similar kind of feeling, right? Because, if we don't get goosebumps, then the chances are that our audience won't either, and there we don't have an audience. I really honestly do believe that everything around us is created, and there are some objects in this room at the moment which you're going to have an opinion on or a feeling about. I think that trying to get all those strings to play the way that you want them to in one harmony is possible for any one of these objects around here, whether it's that lamp, that chair, the textile pattern on that carpet, or the light or the light switch. Anything has the potential to make us feel good.
And since I've also seen your presentation today, so I believe you have worked with a lot of different materials, right? So which is the most versatile material you have dealt with so far? Can material itself be emotive?
Yeah, it can. And I think there are 2 different answers to that. So without a doubt, the most versatile material that we work with the type of work that we do, where we're producing stuff for 100,000 pieces or 1 million pieces, it's plastic, and of course, we are all very well aware of our responsibilities now of, how to use plastic in the correct way. And there is still a place for plastic. It's just how we choose to use that is, that's where the onus falls on us to make the right decisions. And yes, materials can make you feel something, of course. For example, I'm holding this, I've got a mobile phone in my hand. It's a beautiful mobile phone. It's a newish mobile phone for a, very well-known brand. But when I hold it in my hands, it makes me feel fearful because it's made with some precious materials I can see, and I'm worried that it's going to fly out of my hands because it's very slippery and smash on the floor. So that material gives me a feeling. It's actually a feeling that I don't like and I'm uncomfortable with. So on the one hand, I'm looking at this beautiful object, and on the other hand, it's making me feel worried. So I buy a cover, which is part of the brand strategy, of course, as well. But anyway, I buy the cover. It's made of a different material. It just so happens that material makes me feel secure because it's slightly rubberized. It kind of feels nice, and it makes me feel secure. My product is not going to fly out of my hands and land on the floor and smash into a million pieces. So yes, material very much can deliver an emotive experience.
So does that mean that if form, color, and texture are dealt well, it will be a great product, industrial product?
I think that it's a combination of those three elements that we use. I'm trying to think of. There could be sound. There's haptic response.
Or maybe I'll put it this way: like with new age tech, since you've worked in both the eras, if I may call, are there new dimensions added?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and if you can illustrate.
If you think about augmented reality and mixed reality at the moment, there are going to be other senses that are triggered, like your peripheral vision. Not the center of your vision, but what's going on around. How you're absorbing that information, what feeling that's giving you. What color is that information? What size is that information? What shape is that information? All those little elements are gonna have an effect on you and the way that you feel. Oral. How does something sound? When you sit in an Audi, the buttons have a very specific click sound. It's on brand. Every single Audi has the same click sound. You press any button in an Audi, it's got the same sound. It's quite a high-pitched. It's on brand. So, yeah, for sure.
And then stepping back a bit, today, how do you perceive technology that enables you to make these beautiful, expressive objects? I'll tell you the background behind this question is, if we consider it's just the beginning of industrial revolution compared to other forms of art and craft, right? So objects, when they started, because during the 70s, maybe before that, because of the technological constraints, there were a lot of straight objects, basic shapes, right? Because of the manufacturing capabilities only. But now that we have advanced few decades ahead, have you seen any pattern? Because I saw your beautiful red color phone, right? And it's a different shape altogether.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not possible. That may not have been possible during the Bauhaus movement, say, for example. Are there any insights which you can share about it?
We're moving into an era now where 3D printing is going to enable us to create very different shapes to what we can with injection molding, for example, which is primarily something that features quite heavily in the products that I've designed, which is a very industrial process. And it has certain limitations. And, for example, you can't create an undercut. You can't create a whole round with injection molding. It must have a split line because you're going to have a top and a bottom cover that come together, especially if you want to put something inside it, like some sort of mechanism or whatever. It's not possible. But, things like 3D printing are going to completely change the way, because you don't need to have a split line. You can create more complete shapes. You can create what is called an undercut, which is where a surface wraps from top to bottom in one complete movement. So there is already, and will continue to be, a new kind of aesthetic that is born of this technology that we call 3D printing.
And any other insights into how the boundaries of industrial revolution, industrial design has been pushed?
Yeah, I think that the big thing for our generation is going to be the convergence of technology. So the combination of experiences created with a combination of physical and digital and sensorial, all in one movement, which means that products are going to be manufactured differently, probably with less components or with different types of components, and aspects of those products which you actually don't need to touch to actually feel. So
Like holographic 3D objects.
yeah, or like for example, we've got this phone here. It's got a camera. It can track your movement. I always remember this scene in Minority Report. Have you ever seen this movie, Minority Report?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a scene where the advertising bots are all scanning everyone's retinas and targeting specific advertising to individuals, and presenting it in this kind of holographic kind of way, and that's not far away. We're already getting targeted like that. We've got facial recognition on all our phones, and that's cool and scary at the same time. Fucking scary. Yeah.
Speaking about movies, I think coming to the last question, and this is my personal curiosity as well. I've been researching, and in one of your interviews, you mentioned your inspiration is Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
So I have two questions. Why?
Yeah.
And one is, what aspect of his work reflects in your work, or with a small example, maybe?
Yeah, there is, for sure. I think that his attention to detail and almost kind of OCD approach to everything he's done has really helped to create this amazing sort of catalogue of art that he has produced, in his career. Whether you're looking at The Shining, Full Metal Jacket, or 2001, very different products in a way, but all delivered with that same intricate attention, extreme attention to detail and research. Fastidiousness has, resulted in these masterpieces that, we can see 50, 60 years later in museums and go and... For me, a personal favorite is 2001, Space Odyssey, purely because I still marvel at how timeless that piece of work is, visually, orally, sensorially. I've seen it many times. I saw it in the cinema last year, and it's breathtaking. The use of color, the use of form. He's an amazing creative director. 2001 was a huge financial flop, and the critics panned it, when it was.
Especially in Shining also, I like being a thriller. I could see only one or two zooms or pans. The rest all is just static frames, right?
And that in itself, is gives you that feeling of fear and discomfort. Yeah.
I wish I had recorded this video as well to just share your expressions with the audience. Anyway, so. What's the future looking like with industrial design?
Where we are now globally, politically and environmentally, you really have to question the kind of projects that you work on and why you're working on them. And I think that, we all have a responsibility to try and focus on what we're going to do about this kind of global crisis that we're in. So I think, design is going to play a part in this conversation. And I think that, emotive design has a real place in a way, because what you're trying to do is engage people in a message, and emotive design is a way to do that.
All right, I think this is a good note to end this.
Okay.
If people, obviously I'll tell tejchauhan.com has a lot of reading material to understand his process. And any other place where people can follow you, find your work?
Instagram, so the handle is @ChauhanStudio. I'm not really so much on Twitter, but Instagram is my kind of social media. That's what I can manage. And the website. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
And that's it from today's Gyan session. Catch us on iTunes, Saavn, Stitcher, or any podcasting app you use. Do rate us on iTunes and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Stay tuned for more Gyan on Audiogyan.com. Till then, bye.